Well, guys, I just tried to go live. I apologize for whatever reason. My computer didn't go live. I had to do a restart. I'm not really going to be answering comments. I'm not really going to be paying attention to the comment section. I will go through the comments because this is a live feed. I will go through the comments after after I've done my video and talked about the things I want to talk about. So, like I said, guys, if you're just popping in, I'm not really going to be talking to anyone in the comment section. I'm just going to be talking about what I'm here to talk about. And then later on, I'll go through the comments and get back with you guys. But, I Congress and all these new restrictions are going into play. The FAA is now going to have control over the UAS platforms and the what the public is generalizing as drone. I, I I didn't read through the majority of it, but there are like about 100 pages of all this stuff that's coming out that does pertain to hobbyists as well as 107 pilots. And I just do not see the fairness in this because I don't know, guys. In my head, I'm like, man, people have been flying model aircraft for a long time, model RC helicopter, fixed wing gliders. These have all had cameras on them. It wasn't an issue until the word drone popped up. And then everybody got totally just mindscaped about privacy. And they don't realize like this stuff has been around for a long time. We, as drone pilots and hobbyists and 107 pilots, commercial users, are being hit with this the hardest just because of the word drone. It's such a scary word to the public. This drone, you immediately think you're going to lose privacy over this, and I don't see the fairness in what's happening here. They're restricting the hobbyists and they're making them, if all this stuff really passes and goes through, it's just not fair. Why should we have to do a test to prove that we know how to fly? Why doesn't a RC plane pilot have to do a test to show that he knows how to fly, or a RC helicopter, or why is it only restricted to drone pilots? Why do we have to be the only ones that follow this? It doesn't make sense. There's too much about this that seems extremely personal towards just drone flyers or UAS pilots. I don't agree with it. I think it's complete and utter horse crap. It's if you really read through it, in 4 days they came up, I think it was like 1,500 pages. And out of those 1,500 pages that they decide on, I guess like 87 or 89% of what they wanted to pass went through. And that really sucks for us because if you read through some of this stuff, they're talking about they're going to have the FAA will have complete control over the drone market, saying that they'll be able to tell the drone manufacturers what they're allowed to put on drones. And if they don't meet the specifications of what the FAA says, then you can't put it into production. You can't sell it. It can't. And I don't believe that any of the drones you currently have, if they make adjustments or changes to that, are going to be grandfathered into that. So essentially, you're going to have a whole bunch of drones that you can't sell because nobody's going to want to fly as a hobbyist if they know that they have to go get a 107 pilot if they want to be able to do any advanced flying of any kind, or just pop up in an area and be able to fly. You won't be able to do these things anymore. That's how restricted it's going to be. Like, I feel like they're just trying to kill the hobby. They just want commercial use only for drones. And I really do not see the fairness in that. I just don't. I don't agree with what they're doing. It's complete and utter crap. Now, don't get me wrong. Us as hobbyists, as people that do these type of things, that fly this type of hobby stuff, none of you really stepped up to the plate. I was writing Congress. I was like, a few of you signed some of the petitions, but you didn't really go in depth. You didn't really look into this. You didn't fight it at all. Like, there's only and I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just saying that the majority of hobbyists did not do these things. They just allowed it to happen. And so now you have no control. If all this stuff goes through, you have no control. All you FPV pilots that want to do race drones, that want to do all these different types of things, you're going to be regulated. You can't use this type of signal. That camera's too strong. Your VTX is too high of an output. Like, they're basically just going to shut the hobby down is what they're trying to do. If you're still trying to fly, it's going to be extremely difficult now if all these regulations actually finish going. They did pass a lot of this stuff, man. Like 80, I think it was like 87 or 89% of it went through, and it does suck, Perth. It really sucks, man. It is. And the worst part about it is the hobbyists just let it happen. Nobody really fought for it. Nobody attempted to try to stop it. There were only a few people that signed petitions. They did a petition. Do you know how many drone pilots there are as hobbyists out there actually doing this type of stuff? There are like over 2 million drone pilots now. Out of 2 million, only like, I don't even think 100,000 people signed the petition. Any of the petitions to stop, them from removing 336 as model aircraft for us to be able to fly without the FAA stepping in and having control over us. Okay, they just eradicated it. Bye-bye 336. You're not considered model aircraft anymore. You're considered a aircraft that flies with regular manned air traffic. Look, man, this all happened because the hobbyists just went stagnant. They just didn't care. They're like, they're not going to do anything about it. There's nothing they can do. Yeah. So quietly behind the scenes, that's exactly what they did. They did it to you guys. They did it to all of us. They didn't care about your personal feelings as a hobbyist. No, don't, Flying Brian, don't even bring up the AMA. They did not fight for us at all. The AMA did not fight for us. The AMA was like, we don't care what happens as long as you don't take away our airfields. We don't care. Do whatever you want. That's the problem. The AMA didn't even step up to the plate. They could care less what actually took place. So the issue that we have here is that the hobbyists didn't fight for this at all. They just allowed us to be plowed over by the government, and there was just not enough action taken. So government went ahead and did it anyways. So now when you want to go fly, if all this stuff goes through, guess what? You have to go pass a test as a hobbyist and then take that test down to your local police department and show local law enforcement that you have passed your test so that you can fly your hobby model aircraft. You won't be able to fly FPV just staring at your screen anymore. You're going to have a spotter constantly. Like, you guys should read through some of this stuff, man. It was wild, and the majority of it passed. So if you thought this was a joke, if you thought it was never going to happen, it wasn't going to come, there's nothing, they can't do anything to us, man, they smacked us right in the face. And you're just going to have to take it now, because now FAA has jurisdiction over the majority of the stuff that we're going to be doing. So if you thought this was all fun, it was just going to be a game, they can't, even your little tiny, I'm working on one right now. This stuff still can be regulated now by the FAA. It doesn't even matter that it weighs 40 grams. They can regulate this. They can be like, you can't have that camera. No, you can't do what you want to do. Nope, there's no acro flying. Yep, you got to have a spotter. No, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. Sorry, you may as well not fly. That's what they're doing. That's exactly what they're doing. So, hey, man, the hobbyists allowed it to happen. Do I think it's fair? I absolutely do not think it's fair. What about fixed wing gliders, airplanes, helicopters, all this stuff? They're not getting hit with any of this. You can't tell me that there hasn't been a scenario, or at least a couple hundred scenarios in the past, of a model aircraft, airplane, helicopter, fixed wing glider, any of those coming in contact with a real manned aircraft. They're only pointing fingers at the drone people. That's all they're doing, because all of a sudden these drones are such a big thing that they're causing all these impositions. There have been millions and millions of aircraft pilots out there flying RC stuff way before the drone hobby started. So I don't want to hear any of that. The government took this to an extent that it really even wasn't. They just got tired of it. They got tired of all the calls they were getting. They got tired of people saying, well, I saw a drone over my house. I saw this. If that had been a fixed wing glider, nobody would have even cared. They would have been like, oh, look, a model airplane. Even if it had a camera on it. So do I think it's fair? No. I think they crapped all over our hobby, and it's really ridiculous. You guys should really read through some of the stuff that's coming, because it's going to get interesting. Yeah, man. I don't know. Quads and mods. I feel like a lot of the hobbyists are just going to give up. They're not going to want to follow all the restrictions. They're not going to want to follow the rules. And for those of you that don't, you think it's still a funny game. Ha 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 ha. Wait till you get caught. Wait till they find you flying FPV. You think it's an underground scene? Wait till you get nailed for it. Prison time, dude. Jail time. Confiscation of your drone on the spot if it doesn't meet the requirements of the FAA. And apparently they're pushing for local law enforcement to have a list of no-nos. So because the police weren't doing anything before this means nothing now. If the FAA has their way, every police, local law enforcement will have a list of things on how to deal with drone pilots and what they can and can't do and what the no-nos are. So yeah, man. Yeah. That's where we've come to. That's what's going on. Yeah, prison FPV. There you go. So I don't know, man. What are your thoughts? Share them in the comment section. I'm not going to run this too much longer. If you forgot to push the like button, please don't forget to smash that like button, guys. Definitely helps the algorithm boost. But this needs to be talked about. This needs to be shared. People need to communicate about this. You still have time to write your Congress, your government, get a hold of these people, man. Start fighting for your hobby. If this is what you love to do and you really enjoy doing this, fight for it. For Pete's sakes, fight for it. I even when I was in the hospital, guys, I released that petition saying, please sign this. Please do not let them get rid of 336. It's the only thing saving this hobby from going downhill. Save the hobby. If you enjoy it, save it. That's all I can say. Save the hobby, guys. All right, man. Drone Worship, I'm out. Thanks for stopping in, guys. This wasn't meant to be a long live stream. It's meant to give you my opinion on how I thought. I'm sure it's going to differ from other people. I'm sure people are going to say blah, 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 blah. It's fair. It's fair. It's not fair. It's fair. You know, do what you do. Put in the comments section. I'm going to pin the most profound comment I can find that someone gives the best information on as the top comment. So I'll catch you guys on the flip, man. Toodaloo.